Back in the house. Ain't been out here since, I guess, August 19th. I brought you a quick how-to guide on how to disregard the Bible. Now I'm going to do the same for the Quran. Welcome to my channel, Kanum Kansu Moon. It's Lil Kenny Russell. That's the YouTube. And I thank you for tuning in. I got great things on the way. I'm always searching for information to make sure my stuff is historical. The aspect I'm speaking from is a historical one. So what I'm basically aiming and telling you, if it never happened historically, you can pretty much count it as it never happened. It's difference between a person that says history, because a lot of times when people want to joke at you and say, when you're into history, is oh, you're talking about his story. His story is HISSTORY, a man taking his pen out and giving you his story. But what I do is to go back and check the information and make sure that that's not all that I'm getting. I don't want his story. I want historical information, which means history. History is consists of 4 things: time, people, places, and events. So that's what I go back and track down. You better believe if I'm talking about it, I try to track it down as far as I can, and it's historical. Other than that, you're not going to hear about it on this channel. So let me pull up my monitor, make sure we cooking. I want to make sure I'm live. Like I said, I thank y'all for tuning in with me. And always honored if anybody would tune in. But let me make sure I'm live. Pulling up my phone to make sure I'm live. Pulling up my phone to make sure I'm live. We live. Let's get it. Gonna do this work. So this gonna be a quick video. Hope to be out of here in 30-45 minutes. So I want to thank the ancestors. I want to thank the elders that's out still doing work. So I pay homage. I take my hat off. And I just want to say thank you to Dr. Walter Williams. That's an elder, still living. Father of my education, master teacher. I just want to take a hat off to the ancestor, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen, Dr. John Henry Clark, J.A. Rogers. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. El Haj Malik Shabazz, Khalid Muhammad, all these radical, powerful thinkers, people that was doing things for the African culture. What I mean by that, you might say black, African American, whatever the case may be. I like to use African nowadays. And I don't use those words, and I have a reason for it, because they only take you back to slavery. So I do not subscribe to myself as a black man anymore, even though I know what it means, and I can use it when you're using it so you can know what I'm speaking about. But African, that's the same thing. Hats off to, take my hat off to the ancestors. There's so much energy, spirituality coming my way from them. Every time I'm on here, I'm compelled. I'm standing on their shoulders, so I want to do well. Everybody that know me know I'm a type of guy that appreciate the things that's around me before I try to go into new things. So I don't care if I have a BMW or a Buick, I appreciate the things that's before me on my way to the new things. So I kiss the ground that I walk on before I try to go attribute me another new ground. You understand where I'm coming from? So I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna go right into this thing. So let's see. I wanna share my screen. Thank y'all for tuning in with me too. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you may be at. It's different time zones, you know? So now, let me get to work, pull my screen up. I'm gonna go straight to it. You hear me? Now, it's a quick how-to video on how to discard that Holy Quran. I showed you how to do the Bible from a historical aspect. Now we're gonna do the Quran. Now, this is a quote from Dr. Walter Williams about facts. This is what I'm into, facts. Belief is all right if that's all you have, but I don't have to dwell into belief too much if you have facts. Facts, which are stronger than arguments, more profound than reasoning, more dependable than opinion, Silences disputes, supersedes predictions, and facts always end the arguments, if you know the facts. Okay. Hold on. I don't want myself in the picture right now. All right, this is the Holy Quran. That's what we're dealing with. Okay. The Quran is a central religious text of Islam. Okay. Muslims believe it represents the words of God revealed by the Archangel Gabriel to Muhammad. The Quran, however, provides minimum assistance for Muhammad's archaeological biography. This already saying that the Quran itself, it does not provide any historical information for this Muhammad. Listen to this. The Quran, however, provides minimum. Minimum means pretty much nothing. Okay? So you can try to say it's historical if you want to. This is already bad for the Muslim. I haven't got into it yet. Okay? Minimum assistance for Muhammad's chronological biography. This means the time period of his biography, his life. Most Quranic verses do not provide significant historical context. That's pretty much it. I can go ahead and start reading another book or something for you, because this says it right here. I don't have to go into it. It says it right here. This stuff is not historical. People willing to die, they want to go to Allah right away. They'll send me to Allah with them if I refute this stuff and dispute this stuff and things of that nature. Let me see if I can get myself out of the screen. I don't want to be in the screen. All right, I think that's it right there. So really, I can tie this up and go on home now. You hear me? Because that's a big hit for the Muslim. Say it right there. This come right off the internet. You gotta do a little searching to do fine, but you can probably go right up on Google and get this. This is the introduction of it. Let's go. See? Now when I type in the Prophet Muhammad, because I want the narrator. I want the person of the story. You can't, of course, you can't put in Allah and go look for nothing. So the Prophet Muhammad, I gotta take you back to the story, okay? You don't know who the Archangel Gabriel is. Now, the Prophet Muhammad, he was born in 532, okay? And he died in, he was born in 570, and he died in 632, okay? So now they're saying about 620, this archangel, which is, you know, an angel, comes from out the heaven. He's in the Hijaz, in the mountain of the Hijaz in Mecca. Was no Mecca at the time. And the angel Gabriel should come from out the clouds and had nothing to do, wanted to deliver him a message from God that he can tell the Arabic people, okay? So don't act like Islam come from the beginning of the world, you had Islam. No, we're talking about 570 to 632. See, that's when he died. Now, this stuff happened in 570. That's the 6th century. So we already understand that this can't be the beginning. Oh, this is the original. This is the original religion. This is for us. All that old nonsense they tell you. The Prophet Muhammad would see this angel. He would come down, visit him, you know, take him. It's called a flight out of Mecca. He brought this horse called Barak. Well, some say it's not a horse, like a little donkey with wings on it, all white. Look it up. Barak. He brought him Barak one night, and they flew all out through the heavens, went all in the heavens, stopped by Jesus. How, hey, that's where Jesus lived. Moses was up there. Come on, nonsense. Flew him all across. It's called the flight out of Mecca, and brought him back down, and continued to give him the Quran over a 20-year span. I believe that's from 620 to the time he started dying. Okay, so already this is mythological. This is crazy. Now, Muhammad, this is the information about Muhammad. He's not a human being, but they think he's real. You have a faceless person already, because this is how they cover it up. Religion always covered up. The key thing about religion is you never can find the grave of a god. That's rule number one. Never find our God. And this Muhammad would be basically the God of Islam. You don't get Islam without Muhammad, because he didn't bring you the so-called Quran. Never happened, but I'm just saying, hypothetically. So Muhammad is an Arabic person. It's pronounced however you want to, whatever the case may be. See, 570. See how that say CE? Common error. That's what we living in. Right now today is 2019, so this happened about 1,500 years ago. See, a little less than that, because that would make it 2070. See? 632 of the common era. So you understand that this is not original. But then they go on and say he got the message from Moses, Adam. The man Adam was a Muslim. No. Islam start right here with Muhammad after 570 and 632 when he died. So you need to know this stuff is brand new already when it comes to history. History dates back millions of years. Millions. So this stuff is new. Let me continue, man, because I get fired up about this stuff because it's universally incorrect, okay? You're out of cosmic order when you think that you're supposed to have some religion in your body. The universe don't care about no religion. When the so-called Prophet Muhammad died, the universe didn't stop. When the so-called Jesus Christ, God, the Son of God, this is God's Son now. When he died, it didn't even rain. In the Bible, they go on lie, it was an earthquake, the earth split up. No, trust me. It didn't happen anyway. I'm speaking hypothetically because I want to stay in the traditional story. When Jesus died, the clouds got dark, the sky got dark, a little earthquake, and it split up. No, nonsense. The universe continued on kicking. When God died, because Jesus later became God in the New Testament, when your God died, the world continued. It was a tomorrow. We living in it. We just about 2,000 years after the death of this so-called God. You understand? The universe has universal laws, and it will not change them for a human being. Me, you, or no named person named God. You didn't name God. Who gave birth to the devil? When the devil died, what happened? See? These are just concepts and belief. Now, let's read about this Muhammad, because I get off course and I want this to be quick. This says he was the founder of Islam. Again, this is looking bad for the Muslim. Because when the Muslims say, nah, Islam been around since the beginning of the planet, they'll sit here and tell you this. Knowing you can type up Muhammad and see who's the founder of Islam. But they'll sit here and lie and tell you, no. Islam was around before the Prophet Muhammad, because Adam and Eve and all these people was. See, Moses was a Muslim. You're a damn lie, and excuse my language. Was the founder of Islam, according to Islamic doctrine, and that's all you have to go by. He was prophet. He was a prophet sent to present and confirm the monotheistic teachings preached previously. Listen, this is how they do it. By Adam, see? But right here say he's the founder, Muhammad, born in 570. Now they're going to take it because they want to play with your balls, excuse the expression. But they have to twinkle your balls and play with your feet and blow in your ear. This is all a part of Romanizing and making you fantasize this nonsense and garbage so you can put it in your life. Adam was a Muslim. Let's stop. Abraham, Moses, Jesus, all these names never existed in human form. Not one. I'm going to read them for you again. This is 4 or 5 people. See? Adam never existed. Abraham, never been no Abraham. Moses, never been no man named Moses. Jesus, ain't never been no man named Jesus. I'm talking about in human form. To ever walk the planet in human form. Look it up. Go search your biggest, deepest books if you can. And please get back to me. And other prophets. None of these people ever existed along with this Prophet Muhammad. But had the nerves to have a birthday for him, 570 to 632, to play with you, twinkle your toes and all that. He is viewed as the final prophet, listen to this, of God. See, when they say God, they talking about a man God. I must stress that to you. In all the main branches of Islam. Though some modern denominations diverge from this belief, Muhammad united Arabia. So all you black men talking about, this is ours, if you're not Arabian, please be quiet from now on and let me teach you, because you opening your mouth too much preaching out the Quran, but you don't know history. So you need to be quiet and let me. I'm aspiring to be a historian, and I know a whole lot of things historical that you never heard of. So let me briefly put you in touch with this stuff, okay? And to a single Muslim polity, with the Quran as well as teachings and practices forming the basis of Islamic religious beliefs. This stuff is all lies. I just want to read it to you, okay? The revelations, each known as the ayah, is a sign of God, which Muhammad reported receiving until his death. See, from the verses of the Quran regarded by Muslims as the verbatim word of God. Verbatim means just whatever. If I say he killed a dog that night, nobody put that in there. Verbatim mean verbatim. That means God said every word in the Quran. And I got verses of the Quran that say when you find a disbeliever, you kill him where he at. So this what God said, okay? And around which the religion is based. Besides the Quran, Muhammad's teachings and practices, the Sunnah. This is a form of writing. See, these are writers. The Ishnah, the Sunnah, the Hadith. These are forms of writing to write this nonsense. Found in the Hadith, see, and the Sirah, biography, literature, are also upheld and used as sources of Islamic law. You see that? I didn't even go into that. I don't think I put that in here, but we'll see how the slides go. I put it together, but again, I don't really study them. I don't know why. I just come, like, when I'm reading them, they fresh like I'm reading them, even though I put them together. I'm reading them with you. Now, like I told you, the Sunnah, the Hadith, and the Mishnah, that's writing systems for Quran. That's what they use to write all the mythological stuff. The Quran is the central religious text of Islam. Muslims believe it represents the words of God revealed by the Archangel Gabriel to Muhammad. The Quran, however, provides, I got this twice. Now, this the mountain he was in. When I said he was up in the Hijaz, and this Gabriel came through him, look how they lived. This ain't no house. This ain't no house with a window. These people, they were nomads. They lived in tents. They took everything. They couldn't read or write. That's why they tell you the Prophet Muhammad was ignorant. He was supposed to be a smart man, but he was ignorant, which means he couldn't read or write. He can tell you all this stuff, but he couldn't read or write. Okay? Here we go here. Now, Muhammad had begun to pray alone in a cave named Hira on Mount Jabal, near Mecca, for several weeks every year. Okay? Islamic tradition holds that during one of the visits to the cave in the year 610, the angel Gabriel, appeared to him and commanded Muhammad to recite verses that would be included in the Quran. Would be included. Consensus exists that the first Quranic words revealed were the beginning of Surah 96:1. Muhammad was deeply distressed upon receiving the first revelations. After returning home, Muhammad was consoled and reassured by Khadijah and her Christian cousin. Khadijah was 6 years old. He was 54. That was his wife, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? The cousin. He was consoled by these people. Okay? He also feared that others would dismiss the claims being that he was possessed. He thought people say, no, that wasn't no angel or nothing, you was possessed or whatever. Okay, Shia traditions states Muhammad was not surprised or frightened at Gabriel's appearance. Rather, he welcomed the angel as if he was expected. The initial revelation was followed by a 3-year pause period known as Fatra, during which Muhammad felt depressed. So this came to him with the first words, 96:1, whatever that was. And after that, this Archangel Gabriel don't visit him for 3 years. See? Would already make a person be like, he tripping. And further gave himself prayers and spiritual practices. When the revelations resumed, he was reassured and commanded to begin preaching. Thy guardian Lord hath not forsaken thee, nor is he displeased. The early history of Mecca is still largely disputed. They put this stuff together for you. This twinkles your mind, okay? There are no unambiguous references to an ancient literature prior to the rise of Islam. So prior to the rise of Islam, Islam rise in about 6 something, almost in the 700s, which was the 8th century. They have no prior literature writing. They didn't have no writing until well after this. But this is hypothetical. I'm standing the story, okay? There's never been no writing out of Arabia. They didn't have a writing system. They couldn't write. So let's get that straight right now, okay? The Roman Empire took control of part of the Hijaz in 106 of the Common Era. Ruling cities such as Hijra, known as Mahdia and Salah, located to the north of Mecca. Even though detailed descriptions were established of Western Arabia by Rome, such as Precippius, whatever, okay, there are no references of a pilgrimage and trading outposts such as Mecca. So in Roman history, around this time with this gentleman, he was in control, there was no reference. They had no story of no pilgrimage going on. That's supposed to have been going on since the beginning of the earth. They had no trading posts, nothing. Mecca wasn't even around, okay? The first direct mention of Mecca in external literature occurs in 741 of the Common Era. That's the 8th century. In the Byzantine Arab Chronicle, though the author places it in Mesopotamia rather than in Hijaz. He said it was Mesopotamia, not Mecca. Hijaz is like Mecca. Here go Barak. I spoke about this. I got a slide of it. I'm glad I put this together, okay? Now, this is what it means. Lightning, various meanings, beaming, bright, brilliant, dazzling, flashing, gleaming, glimmering, all this nonsense, glistening, glittering, nothing to say historical. And this type of animal never existed. Radiant, resplendent, shiny, everything, just to twinkle your toes again, like I say, okay? Blowing your ear and fantasize with you. Said to be a transport for certain prophets. All kind of people just rolled the back of this nonsense. And see this faceless Muhammad, this supposed to be Muhammad. He never have a face, but they, again, like I say, to cover their tracks, they're saying in Islam, you can't show nobody face. So first of all, you can't show the man face that gave us Islam. A faceless man, okay, first, that's the number one thing to let you know this is not a human being. There never been no man named Muhammad in human form ever come to the planet. Never been no Barak ever fly down and let people ride in human form. Take them way to heaven. What type of oxygen and gas mask you have to have on? Once you break so far, oxygen, you lose oxygen. You die right away. Let's stop playing, okay? They flew all night long, 24 hours. Can't even do that in the airplane in most cases. So we need to know what we're speaking about. Most notably, the Hadith, that's another writing system, accounts about the Isra and Miraj, recounts that Barak carried the Islamic prophet Muhammad from Mecca to Jerusalem and up in the heavens and back by night. You see, instead of them saying this was a dream, they will punch this in your head and they want you to die that this really happened historically. But I tell you that nothing historical on any historical record can an account like this even be written about. This is somebody's imagination. They put it on paper for you to believe it because it's religion. And in religion, anything is believable because all you need somebody to do is believe. 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 Be able to be lied to visually. See? I put that together. Believe is B-L-I-E. Be lied to visually. Be able to be lied to visually. Now, again, this is supposed to continue to propagate for the lie. This go on and say that it was a Quran in those times, which they didn't even know how to write. I told you there was no math. Where would they study at? There weren't no schools. They lived in tents. When it's time to leave, they wrapped up and put everything. They didn't write no books. They was out there gathering, hunting, and trying to get things to just survive and sustain themselves through the night and day to day. When they didn't have no time to write no books. No Quran came out into 1919. Okay, that's when the Quran came out, and they accepted it in Mohammedan world at that time, and they approved it. They started working on it in 1870. Took them 49 years to put it together, and they took it to Cairo, Egypt, and the Mohammedan world accepted it in 1919. That's your first Quran. All this stuff is a figment of your imagination. Who can read this? This comes from Kufik. Who was gonna read this? Kufik. I'm sorry. Now, a folio from an early Quran, a lie, written in Kufic script in the period of the 8th and 9th century. Now, I have to tell you, if anybody know, any type of historian, you must know when this Quran, they say what came around. This is around the time. Now, you must know, a Muslim will tell you this. See, the Bible comes before the Quran. Anybody that has any sense know that. Why? Because inside every Quran, interspersed, you have Bible literature. Biblical literature is inside every Quran. That's the first 5 books of Moses, the Old Testament, the Pentateuch, Tanakh, all that stuff. Then you have the Synoptic Gospels. That's the first new books of the New Testament. And then you have Psalms. That's in every Quran. You can go open your Quran right now as we speak and look in there and see them Bible verses. Why is that important? The Bible there's no biblical literature ever been on the planet in the 8th and 9th century. The first printed Bible, you need to go back to my other video, I go back, it's 1475. Okay? That's called the Hebrew Bible. That's the first Bible. And then the New Testament, that's in there. So that don't come out until 1516 when Desiderius Erasmus wrote that. That's called the Novum Instrumental. In 1519, they changed it to the Novum Testamental. 1535, it became the New Testament. So you need to know history. This couldn't have been out. And it had no Bible. How can the Quran come out before the Bible? Think. But you don't do that because in religion, you don't need to think. You listen to what all these religious people tell you. Yeah, he went and gathered up a whole lot of lies. And he can speak it eloquently. But is it historical? I would have to tell you no. Kufic comes from Nabatean. Nabatean comes from Aramaic. Aramaic comes from the time when they said Jesus and all that. Jesus never wrote a thing. If Jesus was somebody that was into writing when he died, they would have found all his writings. Writing was around at that time. Don't think it's so far back they didn't write. Because again, you're a fool. They would have had a journal of his. They said, we got Jesus' journal. Don't worry. Now we right on time. He died. We got his journal. We know all the instructions of Christianity. But you don't have that. These are mythological people. Nothing was found with Jesus. Nothing. Because there's no Jesus. You need to know that. There's nothing historical about a fictitious character. Let's go on. Now. What is this? Ornamental use. Okay, Kufic is commonly seen on Seljukian coins and monuments and on early Ottoman coins. Its decorative character led to its use as a decorative element in several public and domestic buildings constructed prior to the Republican period in Turkey. So let me tell you, the Seljuks, the Seljukian Turks, they don't come out until about the 11th, 12th century. Let me see. I got that right here. The Seljukian dynasty, okay? They Persians was, whatever the case may be, it's telling you about Sunni Muslims. Was never no Muslim. It was called Mohammedanism after 1239 of the Common Era. That gradually became a Persianate society and contributed to the tradition. Okay, the medieval West and Central Asian Seljuks established both the Seljuk Empire and the Sultan of the Rum, which was their heights stretched from Iran to targets of the First Crusade. Okay, the First Crusade is 1096. That's the latter part. That's the closing, almost a turn of the century. Finna go into the 1096. That's the 11th century. Getting ready to go into the 12th century. So they just told you that this Quran come out of the 8th and 9th century. But they're talking about Kufic writing, whatever the case may be. That don't come around to the Seljukian Empire. The Seljukian Empire, again, they say right here, the First Crusades. The First Crusades is 1096. You need to be writing down what I'm saying or come back to it, and you can write it down and you can go look all this stuff up. Okay? The Seljukian Empire is very late. Even for that, that's wrong. But they write that right there, put Kufic on it, Kufic, and you say, oh, it was a Quran in the 8th and 9th century. That's a lie. Again, here go another presentation of some stuff supposed to be Quranic writing. They never had no writing, okay? Page from a Quran. It tells you, I guess it's come from Afghanian, see, in the 1400s. Now, this is supposed to be some of the first stuff. 1400s. Again, we're getting later and later. But the Quran is said to be came out after 632. So from 570 to 632, when the Prophet Muhammad was living, right after that, the Quran was written up. Again, there was no Bible in 632. First Bible came out in 1475. Again, I go back. Or you can rewind the video. You must have the Bible before the printing of the Qurans, okay? Make sure you understand that. In look, it's getting later and later now. In 1786, Catherine the Great of Russia sponsored a printing press for the Turkish people. So she sponsored them one. They never had one in all this time, but they printing up Qurans and writing Quran. Let's stop it. In St. Petersburg, with one mullah, all this is Islamic people responsible for producing the Arabic types. A Quran was printed with the press in 1787. You see? Reprinted in 1790. Listen to this. 1793 in St. Petersburg. And in 1803. See? So you already been lied to. That from 570 to 630, Quran supposed to have been out right after that. Now this says the first edition printed in Iran come out in 1828. See? But what I'm telling you, all this is lies. What I'm telling you is in 1870, okay, the AIU, the Alliance Israelite University of Paris, France, they sent scholars down there into Mecca and all that. And they said, we want to create a Bible, which is a Quran. That's in 1870. It took them 49 years to create it. They put it all together because they wanted to get Abraham in there. See, Abraham, he locks together Judaism, Islam, and Christian. They call it the Abrahamic religions. Father Abraham, he locks them all together. So in 1870, they did that. Now in 1919, 49 years later, in Cairo, Egypt, the Mohammedan world accepted it. Then you get Islam. The Quran don't come out in 1919. The first meeting in Islam history is in 1926. You need to understand. You have to know history. See? But this tells you, again, twinkling your toes and your bottom area and all the rest you want to twinkle, blowing in your ears, playing house and playing with you. See? 1875, 1860, go later and later and later during the first constitutional era. Now here goes some more stuff. He published an edition of the Quran in 1834, okay? Which remained authoritative for close to a century until Cairo's Al-Azhar University published, you see this date here? Listen to me. I'm little Kenny Russell, okay? Kanum Kansul Moon. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. The Quran in 1914. This edition was a result of a long preparation, long, all right, 49 years, standardized Quranic orthography, and remains the basis of later editions. So this is the first time, 1919, but you gotta see, you know what I'm talking about. I can talk all day long, but I try my best to give you the facts. This stuff is not historical. I'm disregarding all this already. It's too many bumps in the story already. We got here. We already here. It's too many bumps in the story. So now I'm going to show you, because you got to have the Bible first. I just told you inside every Quran you got biblical writing. Why is that important? You must get the Bible first. You can't open up the Bible and find the Quranic writings. It don't exist. But the Muslim, again, why did the Muslim need the Jewish people? Why do they need Jewish writing? Because the Jews created their Quran. Open up your Quran and find exactly what I'm saying and prove me wrong. So now I'm going to show you that the first writing of this Bible, like I told you, come out in 1475. You must have this first. So that 6th century, all that stuff, 7th century Quran, 8th century, is lies. You have to have the Bible first, then the Quran come about. That's a fact. Okay? First edition of the Pentateuch. Okay? Now, this right here, 1482. I just really need to use these slides for this. Okay? And that comes from a commentary off a man named Rashi. I spoke about Rashi last week in a minimum basis because Moses Maimonides, who wrote the first 5 books of Moses, okay, he wrote from Rashi. Rashi come out at 1040. Moses Maimonides come out 1165. See? You have to understand. All these people that I'm naming, they wrote the Bible. There ain't no Bible writers because there ain't no real Moses. Moses is Moses Maimonides. It's no Judaism. Rashi created Judaism. The Sefer HaTorah. Sefer means Sefer means books. Ha means the, and Torah, books of the Torah. So before you get the books of the Torah, this man right here, 1040, he wrote Sefer HaYasa, literature. Sefer HaYasa means books, Ha means of, and Yasa means the upright ones. The upright ones is it's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's the upright ones. That's the beginning of Judaism. So he has to write that first, Sefer HaYasa, before you get Sefer HaTorah. And that comes out in 1040, like I told you. Now, so you have to understand, the first edition of the Bible and come out to, like I told you, 1475, say 1482 here. It's a little off, but again, 5 scrolls with Rashi, see, above the text. Rashi created what you know as Old Hebrew. All this stuff, that's supposed to be old scroll. This go back to 600 BC. This go back to 1000 BC. No, right here, period. 8th, 7th century BC. 2nd, 1st century BC. Okay, these are lies again, because they all come out of Western academia and they are religions, so they have to tell that lie. But in BC datings, there was never any religions, no religions in BC dating. They didn't have no religion in BC dating. They put this right here to give you some type of semblance that it was around in those dates. No. Okay? You have to understand. BC, right here, I just told you, 1475. This is the first Pentateuch. Wrote off Rashi's writing. Now, they take you here. They want you to believe that this is BC. When I just told you, this is after 1475. So it can still look scroll-like even from that time. That's a long time ago. But they put BC right here to tickle your fancy. Let's continue. Another class of Bibles, distinctive Jewish, are those that are known as Rabbinic Bibles. Okay? This is first. These were published, see, Venice, 1517 to 1518. You see? From the Pentateuch that come out in 1475. This is the newest stuff. This is what they're talking about. And it's scrolls. So they're trying to tell you that this is BC. Because I put this right here so you can say this is what it see. When you look all this stuff up, they didn't have none of this stuff in BC. Where would they get this much stuff from? This would have to be printed on papyri. It only come out of 3 places, Ethiopia, Egypt, and Sudan. Where would they get this much from? In Arabia or in Israel. Okay? So you need to understand. These people lie to you for a living. This is Old Hebrew. And let me tell you something about that. Old Hebrew is the writing that's wrote on the Dead Sea Scrolls. What's important about that? The person that made up Old Hebrew is this man named right here, Rashi. He was born in 1040, died in 1104. This man made up and wrote Old Hebrew. If you look up the Dead Sea Scrolls and you're looking what writing is it in, it's attributed to Rashi. He comes out of 11th and 12th century. How can you just stamp a date on there, put he made up Old Hebrew, and then you take his writing and put it on some 2nd century BC scrolls. That's supposed to be 800 years, 1,200 years before this man's birth. This stuff would have been written, the Dead Sea Scrolls, in 200 BC. That's 1,200 years before this man Rashi's birth. But it's his language that is wrote in. See? You have to understand, use your analytical mind. How would they get 10th, 11th century writing, new writing, on some old BC papers? You never thought of that because you're not a thinker. You into religion. I'm not into religion. I'm into thinking. This is called Rashi script. Old Hebrew. Look up Old Hebrew. I bet you'll find Rashi. It's called Old Hebrew. The Rashi script. Now, see this? Shalom Yishka. Right here. All these names. But guess what? Acronym. Rashi. Hebrew. 1040 to 1105. This is what I'm talking about. I love history, okay? Author of comprehensive commentary, they put commentary, the Talmud and commentary of the Tanakh. That means the Pentateuch, all that, they have different names. See? This man wrote everything you talking about. All the old, all that stuff. And he wasn't born until 1040 of the common era which we live in today, just about 1,000 years ago. Under 1,000, but coming up on 1,000 in 2040. This is the father of Jesus, Moses. None of them people ain't real. This man is real. They use all his writings. Sefer HaYasa literature created the Sefer HaTorah for the Hebrew. All you black Hebrew Israelites talking that mighty, mighty Muslim and Moses and Adam, this is your daddy. Right here. Rashi. See? Shlomo Yishka. This man right here, he was a rich baron, Rashi. He started the Crusades. He sent an army down there and put some money down there and started the Crusades. See? Rashi's script is semi-cursive. This is his writing. I put this right here. This is what the Dead Sea Scrolls is written in. See? Semi-cursive typeface for the Hebrew alphabet. Man, made up the Hebrew alphabet. It is named for Rashi, an author of Rabbinic commentary on the Hebrew Bible, Tanakh, and the Talmud, and is customarily used for printing commentaries and others. The typeface was not used by Rashi himself. They made it up based on the 15th century, when the Bibles and stuff came out. 15th centuries to 1400s. First Bible come out in 1475 is what I was just showing you. That means 15th century. Sephardic, that means Jews. See, Sephardic Jews. Semi-cursive handwriting. It was modeled by Hebrew typographs such as Abraham Gardner. This is all the people who come around with that writing. They just manufacture stuff. See? The movement of the Hebrew language. This is what I want to show you as well. Okay? Our Hebrew language is supposed to be so old. Again, just more lies. The movement of the rival Hebrew was a spoken language, was particularly popular among the Jewish Zionists. It's stuff brand new. Immigrants who came to Ottoman-ruled Jerusalem, all this stuff, beginning in the 1880s. That's the 19th century, almost the 20th century. Elzer ben Yehuda, born in Russian Empire, and his followers created the first Hebrew-speaking schools, listen to me, newspaper and other Hebrew language, see, institution. As Mac Wrench notes in his book, History of Yiddish Language. Yiddish comes before Hebrew, Volume 1. Okay? The very making of Hebrew into a spoken language. Damn. Excuse me, I get excited. Hebrew supposed to be around since the beginning of time. See? First you get the Hebrew. Then you translate it into Greek. Then you bring it over into Latin. Then you get English. That's a damn lie. I gotta be frank. I want to come down the middle with you. That is a damn lie. It says it right here. This stuff is brand new. They brought into a spoken language basically in the 1900s. So they was never speaking no Hebrew in no Jesus time because there wasn't no Jesus. You need to get this in your mind. Wasn't no Abraham, wasn't no Jesus, Adam, speaking no damn Hebrew. From the diaspora. This is all they talking about. So it go on and say, due to the impetus of the second Ayala, this is from Islam and stuff, 1905 to 1914. Hebrews prevailed as the single official and spoken language of the Jewish community and mandatory Palestine. So in 1914, they start really speaking it in Palestine. Mandatory, you spoke it. When the state of Israel formed, listen, because you think Israel was around and Jesus is from Israel, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, all that old nonsense. None of that stuff was ever historical. Now listen to me. When the state of Israel was formed in 1948, ain't nothing but 60, 70 years ago. This will knock you down, okay? But it's historical. This is historical. Let me read that again. When the state of Israel, this is the Jewish holiest state on the block, was formed in 1948. Don't notice I don't say BC or nothing, because this is mean just 70 years ago. The government viewed Hebrew as the de facto, that means official language, and initiated a melting pot policy where every immigrant was required to study Hebrew and often to adapt a Hebrew surname. This is to make you think it's really old. Use of Yiddish, which was the main competitor prior to World War II, was discouraged, and the number of Yiddish speakers declined. What they had in 1932, they eradicated right before it was 1947. So right before this, they eradicated Yiddish. They burned all the plays. They burned everything. The Yiddish books, Yiddish poets, burned it to make way for this in 1948. Now, let me tell you something about the Kaaba that you say to Muslims. We've been going to the Kaaba. See, we've been fools like Kevin Gates, and I must speak his name because he's an Arabist. He don't have anything to do with Islam or so-called Islam or Muslim. He want to suck the Arab's feet, kiss the Arab backside, and anything else. If he was going 100 miles an hour in the Corvette, seeing an Arab man cross him, he'd kill himself not to hit that Arab. Okay? That's worship of one kind, a foreign kind at that. That is universal. It's uncosmic. He's out of cosmic order, and anybody of his sense, they're insane. Now, people think the Kaaba was around. We've been taking our praying our homage, and we've been going over there since beginning of time. I told you, that's nonsense. Rare photos of the Kaaba, the Kiswa factory, when it was established in 1926, okay? You got to understand, Arabia didn't come out until about 1924. It was established for this person named Abdul Aziz Assad. Details of starting up the factory of the Kaaba Kishwa by order of King Abdul Aziz Assad. Syed. See? This is when the Kaaba come about. He ordered them to put the Kishwa on it, the gold thing that sits on it so it can look real old. So all that time we've been going to Mecca since the beginning of time, it was never no Mecca, first of all. You need to understand. In the 1920s, see? 1926 was the first meeting of Islam history. See? 1919, I just told you, was the first printing of the today's Quran. They never had no Quran before that. I just ran you through all the lies that they took the Quran through and gave you historical dates and aspects and analytical thinking that you need to go do and put yourself back together and in your place, because this stuff is brand new. Nothing was around in BC. See? It's no BC dating that you had religion. So that's that on that one. And I want to thank you for being tuned in with me. Let me close this screen. Let me close this screen. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, thank you. So what I do is to really provoke thought. I want you to provoke thought. Use your analytical mind. You have to understand what I'm saying. In a historical aspect, none of this stuff is real. Okay? So that's the bottom line truth. And a lot of people might think like, where I'm going, who you believe, what you pray to. I believe in, first and foremost, I believe in Lil Kenny Russell. This word, God, that people want to love to use, gave me everything I need to go on and doing what this God, whatever you want to keep using the word, has for me to do. See? But the universe, I follow universal laws, cosmic laws. The universe don't care nothing about no religion that you praying to. You see what I mean? Because the sun gonna come up regardless. You need to understand. Be very careful of what you put your spirituality into. You can take your spirituality and put it into a dog. It's none of my business. But when you take all your spirituality and try to cram it into a book, everything you know spiritual, you have it anyway. Spirituality, it didn't come from the book. You have that. That's naturally given to you. When you're born, you get a spiritual birthright. That's given to everybody. You have a spiritual birthright. So when a person is born, you don't have no religion. You can look on your birth certificate. You was given that religion in your innocence as a child maybe, or later on in life somebody put something in your hand and say, hey, you know about the Jehovah's Witness? And you say no. And they make you believe, and you use your spirituality to put that in there. Your spirituality, if you know who you was spiritually, you wouldn't need no religion. I know who I am spiritually. I don't need no religion. Because what that's going to do, that's going to minimize the time that I have to use spiritual for spiritual things. If I want to put my all into something, I need all my spirituality. I can't minimize myself and maximize this unseen, this unknown power, this fictitious power. I'm minimizing myself because I want them to hopefully see this unseen power, God, in myself when I go to the interview. I'm minimizing myself and I'm maximizing the unseen. No, you need to maximize 100% of yourself so you can be seen. This God you're talking about is pulling for you in that manner. If I want a car, from now on, this is the stuff I'm transformed. I transform like a transformer. But this was just yesterday, all this stuff I'm talking about. I was trapped in it. So if I was trapped in it and come out of it, that's what I want for the African. We need to understand ancestral worship, okay? When you see the Egyptian and they said they was polytheistic and all that, they didn't have names like that. See, they just foreigners to what was going on. We use every symbolism, symbolic teachings. You might see somebody have a animal head on a human body, or vice versa. Animal body on a human head. See, these are just symbolic aspects of nature. They didn't have no word named God in ancient times. Never been no Moses, none of that. If you go back, even the Mayans has only come out about 1,300 years ago. They don't know who Jesus is. When you dig up Mayan history, they didn't worship Jesus. They've never heard of Jesus. There was no Jesus in Moses even in that time. So you need to understand this stuff is brand new. I got new stuff coming out for y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's Lil Kenny Russell. This was supposed to be quick. I'm 52 minutes over. I thank you. And I hope you're really learning this stuff. It's a lot to learn, but you need to come up to speed and get yourself together. When you pick a religion, you're out of cosmic order. You're universally out of order. And you got to get yourself together. Let's do it together. Thank you.